welcome to No Man's Land. Trench Warfare 1914 to 1918. And this is what it looks like. And I'll zoom in and we'll have a look and we'll set things up. But roughly you've got the German side, or defenders. I'm just going to call them German, which they are. And we'll have the attacker side, which will be French. Up here we have where we can put the German planes, French planes, and then when they're actually in battle we put them in this square. The game takes into account wind, so we can use this to define which direction the wind is in and for scatter for shells. We're going to do scenario 2, which doesn't use the whole bunch of trenches. We're only going to use front trenches, but these are all your other trenches, resupply trenches, communication trenches and whatnots. I try to keep a note of our artillery and the German artillery, stuff for counter-attacks, a headquarters for the German defenders, and an elan track it's called, which will change what we can add or subtract to our initiatives, close assaults and rallying. That's the basics of the board, so we'll zoom in and we'll start setting it up. Right, so we're going to do scenario 2, as I say. A gun still too far, it's called. And it tells you here exactly about what you're going to do. You've got the French attacker and a list of the stuff you're going to need for the French, German defender, stuff you're going to need. Then there's some special rules, and you have to make a note of those because there's some modifiers and whatnot that you need that are exclusive to that scenario. So the special rules will change from scenario to scenario. So let's have a look at the bits. This is the bits that you will need for scenario 2. So what are they? We'll go for the French first. You need 16 infantry that are 2x2. So these are the infantry guys here. You've got 2 numbers on the infantry, both 2s in this case. The one on the left is kind of their firepower and the one on the right is their strength. So you've got to remember that because you're going to use those in fights. There's 2 little red dots that are poppies in the top left corner. That's for stacking purposes. You can only stack 4 poppies in a stack. So you could only put 2 of these guys. If you had 1 poppy, you could put 4 in a stack. So that's how they work. And we have 4 bundles of 4. These guys are what's called officers. Now, I don't pretend to know a whole bunch about them and I haven't used them much, but they're part of the campaign. These guys can't pronounce, but it's the French Mortar. So I'm going to call it a French Mortar. We have a Reconnaissance balloon, French fighter, and we have an action point marker. We'll come to that later on. German side, these guys, 6 infantry. These guys are 3x2, so 3 firepower, 2 strength. They have machine guns. They have 2 machine guns. This is the German version of an officer. They also have an ace fighter, which is kind of marked with ace of spades. Cue all Motorhead references. And 2 grenades. And also they have an action point counter as well. Again, we'll come to that when we do the setup. So, speaking of which, let's set this lot up. Right, number 1, planning. So, first thing we need to do, choose a scenario. Okay, done that, we're going to do scenario 2. First thing we need to do for that is we look at the scenario description, special rules, and one of them is that the barbed wire is going to be, the first barbed wire is going to be intact. That goes there. The barbed wire might be kind of difficult to see, but it's a row of X's that run in a wavy form across there. That's the barbed wire. So we've got that, it's intact. Germans have a barbed wire defence. Next thing is we set up the defenders' units. Now, the units are placed in the trench, so we're going to put them in this trench here, in there. They're considered hidden, so that it's kind of difficult when you're doing it one player, because it's kind of meant to be two. But yeah, we'll pretend I don't see things. We'll pretend it. So we're going to put them into the trenches. We have, as I said, six German units that we're going to put in the trench. So I'm just going to randomly dot them about the place. They're all the same, so it really doesn't matter much. So I'm going to put them there. Now we can then put the machine guns. Again, I'll just put one on either end. It's not going to end well because I've done this before with machine guns on either end, but what the hell, I never usually learn from my mistakes. The artillery points here and the French one here, the scenario tells you what to do for that. It tells you that, and I shall have a wee look here, that the French have 6 artillery points. So this goes on 6 for the French, and the German have 8 artillery points, as thus. So now we know who's got what for artillery points. There's a couple other markers up here. I've already put them in place. They go at the start of most games unless you're told otherwise. They go in there. Let's see. We're going to use these markers, if I can find them, here, which are question marks to hide the German units. They have revealed on the back of them. So we are going to put those onto the German units. Now, the idea being that the French, us, aren't going to be able to aim and fire on something with a question mark. The question mark has to be off before we can aim for that unit. So we are in a bad way in that respect. This is why we need our reconnaissance balloon to hopefully uncover some of these guys. Otherwise it's going to be a bad day. Right, so we've got that set. The Germans also have, as I say, the officer. Pretty much you can put that under one of the stacks. I'll just put it under this guy here, and we'll put them back in the trenches. Back in the trenches where they belong. Oops, made a mess of it. Right, much better. Okay, so we've got that, got the artillery points, got the markers. Now, next part, the sky. As I mentioned, this is for the German planes, so we are going to put their ace fighter up here in the aerodrome, ready to go. The other thing I nearly forgot, the grenades. I usually just put them to the side somewhere, just as a reminder that the Germans have them. So, we've got their planes, we need to put our planes. We have a fighter, and as I say, our reconnaissance balloon. They go in our aerodrome, here. Now, again, we are going to end up doing a battle here. Hopefully, we can then uncover some of these question marks using our balloon. And one of the rules in this particular scenario is no strafing. So whoever gets air superiority doesn't really do much because they can't strafe later on. But, you know, it's something that you would more use in later scenarios. Right, part of the sky setup is the sky domination phase, where we're going to roll a dice and pretty much the ace fighter gets to go first. We're going to put everything in. This is the fight. So, ace fighter goes first. I should mention that there is a whole player aid thing with all different tables for all the different stuff, and we're going to roll on the dogfighting table, which is this one. So there's a whole bunch of tables, no shortage of tables, which is always good. We like tables and dice. Right, I'm going to roll for the German fighter. So he gets a 4. 4 on the table is no effect, so he has completely missed. So our turn. French fighter. 2. We also completely miss. So that is it for the sky domination. You get pretty much one roll each. If the fighter had hit and took out my fighter, then I'll be left with my balloon, and that's it until potentially next time. There could well be another sky domination phase because we still have fighters left. So that's that bit done. Next part of the sky domination is reconnaissance, and that's our balloon. So what we're going to do is roll on the balloon to see what we can uncover here, to see what we can try and shoot at later on, because we like shooting at things. 5. Reconnaissance table says that a 5 is 2 sectors. If no surviving enemy fighters, we get a +1. Well, there's one there, so we've had it for that. If it's a balloon, which it is, then we get a +2. So we're now up to 7. And we have a -1 because it's before 1916. So 6. 6 on the table tells us that we have 3 sectors that we can reveal. So we can reveal any 3 of these guys. Any 3. We can then aim at those that are uncovered. The only other way to get them uncovered is for that player to use one of those units that's covered. When you use it, you lose the question mark. It's obviously no longer hidden once they've used it. So, our balloon has done its bit. It's going to float away. It's gone. We can now reveal 3 of these guys. Right, so obviously I'm playing for both players here, so I'm just pretty much at random. We'll just do one there, one there, one there. Flip them to become revealed, and you keep the revealed because that can sometimes get you a bonus for rolling in tables. So I'm told. I've never actually done it though, but there we go. So we can now aim at these guys. Of course we aren't set up yet, but that comes soon. Right, before we get into bombardments though, we need to decide wind direction. And what we do is just simply roll dice. 6. We have a wind marker here with an arrow pointing up in this case. We got a result of 6. 6 is here, and we put that on the 6. So the wind is pretty much going not quite, but nearly northwest. So that's our wind direction. Another part of the preparation is a kind of bombardment on the defenders before we even get set up. It's a kind of a nice welcome, a kind of a hello gesture. We get to barrage them. We can use our artillery points. We've got 6. So normally I would keep them till later on, but I'll use 1 just to kind of show how it works. The idea is that you take 1 off, and I'm going to use one of these markers, which is for a shell. Pretty much you just decide where you're going to aim for. Now this is where it can get tricky with the aim, because you can pick a point and say I want the shell to land there. You need to hope that when you roll on the scatter table that you get no scatter, and it will land smack bang right where you want it. If you get scatter, or a scatter result, then you have to roll against the wind, and it could land anywhere outside of where you wanted to hit. So it's a bit of a gamble. You know, do you want to just go smack bang there? Do you want to maybe go here and hope that you get a hit here on the scatter table? It's a bit risky. It would be handy if you were, say, here. You could hope that you get a scatter result here. It's kind of a, think of it as being a kind of random idea that when you lob one of these big shells, it may well go off course. So you got to think about that. So I'm going to try and land it on this guy right there. Hopefully land it right in amongst, because there's 2 guys here. Oops, sorry, no, 1 in his revealed marker. That guy, I'm going to try and land it smack bang on there. Right, the way it's done is on another table, surprise, the barrage effects table. And what we do, we just roll a dice for these guys to see what's going to happen on the table. Whoa, dice. 4. So we get a 4 for this. Barrage effects table. Let's see, do we need to add anything? Nope, nope, nope. Guys in the trench and so on. So 4 is the final result. A unit, that means that this guy here is what's called pinned. In other words, he's stuck until he can be unpinned. So this guy, pinned, he's going nowhere. Another barrage that I have, because it's part of the scenario, the special scenario events, is I have what's called one straight barrage, which is a straight line up. But it does specify I have one straight barrage, but only on this first barbed wire here. So I can pick anywhere along this barbed wire and try and put a hole in it so that the French troops can get through. Now, the way that's done is, you guessed it, it's a table. There is a table, if I can find it, on the sheet, because there's lots of tables. Barbed wire destruction table. Now, the idea is that you don't really know if your destruction of the wire has worked until you get somebody up there. So you don't actually get to just roll and rip a hole in it. No, 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 no. I kind of teased you there a wee bit, thinking that, oh, maybe we could just whack a hole in it, but no. What we're going to do is put a test mark on it. The idea being, one of our guys, like I say, gets here. We then roll on the table and find out. Because right now, that's a maybes. Right, nearly ready to set up our side. There's one more thing. There's the surprise. There is, yes, a surprise table. And the idea is, we roll a dice and we get a 4. Now, we add to that the amount that was given to us in the actual scenario. And the scenario gave us a big fat 0. So we have nothing to add. So that's the end of that idea. Let's see what else. We have to look at the table to get the +1 because we have the free straight barrage. So the 4 becomes 5. What does the 5 mean? Well, the 5 means that we now know where we can set up to. So we can't just plonk our guys anywhere. We've got 5. This is where our assault marker comes in. 5, we have 4 till 6 here. 5. So we can set up anywhere from the back line up to this line here, N, that kind of wiggles across here. So we can set up to N. No further forward. We can go back if we want, and we probably will keep some people in the some troops in the trench because it's kind of safer. But we will have to at some point charge these guys because they are not going to come to us. Right, finally, we get to set up our guys. Another part of the rules is that we need to keep our guys in bunches of 2, stacks of 2. So we need to keep them in 2s. The only time we can separate them is if they get pinned. So if one unit gets pinned, the other unit can still carry on. So I'm just putting them all here in the trench, but it would be a good idea to have some that are a bit further forward. Again, the 2 officers, they can go with units. The idea also with the officers is if you take a hit, then you can, if you roll a 6, you can pass the hit onto the officer and he pops his clogs instead of you. Handy. Our French mortar we will leave there. It just stays there, doesn't go anywhere. Right. Now, hopefully that is going to be a hole that we can get through in the barbed wire. We can walk through the barbed wire, but we will get caught in it and you have to roll to get back out of the damn thing. So ideally we want that to be a hole to get to these guys. So these guys have got to be adjacent to each other at the start of the game. So I'm thinking that we maybe move this guy to N, this guy to N. This keeps them adjacent to each other. Maybe this guy, this guy, this guy. So we've kind of got a head start with some of these guys, making our way up. So we've got that. Only other thing to do is we have markers, what they call elan markers, which are these guys, and they are going to go over there on these squares. So really you're meant to put them in a cup. I don't have a cup just now here, so I'll just shake them and take one at random later on, but that's later on, much later on. But now we're finally done with part 1 and now we're on to part 2, the assault, where we can start attacking these guys. Right, the assault. First thing, we have actions that we can do, and the first thing is if we wanted to use artillery. One thing I did forget though, with the first barrage that I did on this guy, was that it doesn't affect the result as far as I remember, but part of the scenario rules is that we take a -1 on our roll for a barrage. Oops, my bad. Need to try and remember. Now, what we can do here is, first thing is artillery. So we can decide, do we want to slam some shells on these guys, or do we want to wait? Another thing you can do is use your artillery points to reduce the other person's artillery points. But nah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to wait. I'll kind of hold back on the artillery just now. Might not be one of my better ideas, but I'll go for it. See how it goes. So artillery, I'm not going to bother with just now. I'm going to save my shells. The next thing is that we have an action phase. We can either move, or we can fire, or we can rally. Rally gets you out of, well, hopefully, out of the pinned position. We don't need to rally, so we can either move or we can fire. The further away you are, then the more chance you've got of not making a hit. You can fire, say from here, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously this guy's got a question mark, I can't, but if this was valid, then that would be okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I was to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I would take a dice roll modifier because he's 5. Any further back and it gets even worse. So we'll go for, let's see, we can still hit the pinned guy if we want, by the way, just because he's got that on there. I don't want to hide him. So I reckon we have this guy fire on this pinned guy, because he's only 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So that's a good plan. So I'm gonna mark what I'm doing here, so because otherwise, surprise surprise, I will forget. So I'm gonna say this guy's gonna fire. This guy may as well also fire. So both of them are going to end up firing on this guy. Let's see, we'll do a couple of moves as well, just for the hell of it. This guy will move, this guy will move. Let's see, if this guy fires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either way, any of these guys fire, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. So let's have this guy move, this guy move, and the last two guys can fire. So remember, there's 2 in each bundle, so that's 2 fires from here to, or 2 are going to move, 2, both those guys are going to fire on this guy, both are going to fire on this guy, and probably all 4 are just going to pummel this guy. Why not? What the hell? So what we're going to say is these guys are going to move, so I'm going to take the wee counter off to say they're done. And these guys are also going to move, they're done, and they're done. You only go 1 hex at a time, because each hex is a hefty amount. Should really have looked that up first to see what the distance is, but what the hell. Right, so the uncovered guys, they've done their bit. Been and done. And as I say, you've got to move them both at the same time. So let's start firing at these guys. Right, let's get firing. Start from here first. So these two guys here are both going to fire. Like I say, they're going to fire on this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you roll the amount of dice that you have in firing power. So in our case it would be 2, in their case it would be 3. So we're going to roll 2 dice and we keep the highest number of the 2. 5. So, first guy, we'll say it's the top guy, gets a 5. We need to add to that the target size, which is 2. So we've got 7. We then look at the modifiers. The only one that really applies is that the target is at 5 hexes or more, and that's a -1. So the result now is 6. When we look on the fire table, 6 is pinned. So this guy is also pinned. Right, the second guy in this little stack, same idea. 2 dice. Ugh, 1. So we get a 1. And we add his 2, gets us a measly 3. Again, we subtract the 1 for 5 hexes, and we get 2, which gets us absolutely nothing. So, those two guys have done their bit, which was okay, but no great. So, this guy remains pinned. Same again. These guys. Again, we've got 2, that's the officer 1. So these guys, again, 2 dice, whoops, wrecking things. This time it's a 2, highest one's a 2, and again, the guy is a 2, and of course we lose 1 because it's 5 hexes. Again, 3, rubbish, missed. So, second guy in the stack. Good God. Right, so we got 3. A 3. And again, we add the target's 2, reduced by 1, we get a 4, which is rubbish. So they've done absolutely nothing. That guy still lives on to fire at us probably next time. So, what we'll do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We might take our revenge out on this guy by using these 2 to fire at him as well, and these 2 can still fire at this guy. Yeah, why not? What the hell? Let's take revenge on this guy for no getting hit by making these 2 guys also take aim at this very popular chap. 4. Highest we get is a 4. 4 again, plus 2, minus 1, gets us a 5, which gets us nothing. This guy's got to be the luckiest German in the whole World War I. Right, come on, whoa, whoa. Right, okay, 4 is the highest we get anyway. So we got a 4. Again, his 2, minus 1, gets us a measly 5, and again, we miss. Holy moly. Don't know who that guy is, but he's good. Must be the German Chuck Norris. Right, these 2 guys are going to fire on this guy. See if they can actually do any damage. Yes, yes, that's much better. They've got 6. And again, this guy's a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 2 stays. There's no penalty because it's within 5. So we've got 8. Don't know why I had to pause to count that there. That's quite ridiculous. We get 8. So This guy is what's called loss, which is just loses a step, he goes reduced. He's now 1-1 rather than the 3-2 that he started. So the second guy here, he's also going to fire at him. And we got a 5. Excellent. 5. Now, this guy's a 1 now. So that makes it 6. There's no other modifiers that will get us higher than that, I'm afraid. So 6 gets him pinned. And what it says is pinned, which becomes loss and pinned if already pinned. So he would be reduced and still pinned. But reduced means that he is a goner. So he is our first casualty of the game. Unlucky. Unlucky for some. So that is our attack trees. There's nothing else really that we can... We could obviously throw in the mortar, but again I would rather kind of wait and see what else is hidden. Obviously I know it's hidden because I set them up, but you know, I'm trying to be fair here. Try to be one player fair. So we don't have to do any rallying. We've used all our bits and pieces. We've no close combat because we're nowhere near. Only when you go into each other's hexes do you initiate close combat. So at that point the French are done. We're now on to the German side. Right, now the German turn. German turn, they can do exactly the same as the French did. They can use artillery, they can move or fire or rally. So if they rallied, they could rally this guy, see if they could get him back into action again. When you rally them and get them back into action, you can have different things can happen. They could either be reduced, or they could be unpinned and come back into action, or they could come back into action and get a turn. So various things you can do with that. Right, so what would the Germans do? That's what you must ask yourself. They can use the artillery, of course. They've got 8 artillery points, so we'll say they use 2, again just for kind of demonstration purposes. You could, if you wanted, also use smoke. Only thing smoke does is obscure line of sight. Doesn't do any damage or anything. So who would they drop shells on? Let's just randomly pick this guy, this guy. What the hell? They're going to be our unlucky victims. So the first thing we're going to do is the scatter table, as I say, because these things may well go off course. And we roll 1 die. 1 or a 2 means it's went off course. 4. So this one is a hit. No scatter. Another one, whoops, the other one is a scatter. So this one is not going to hit right there where it should. Now, oh wait, modifiers, hang on. Nope, tell a lie. Nope, don't apply. So let me just mark these. This guy was a 4. This one is a 1. So this one is a hit. That's going to hit there. This one is not going to hit there. It's going to land somewhere nearby. So we go to the barrage effects table and we roll the dice. So this one's definitely going to hit there. 6. Ah, crap. That's pretty good. So he's got 6, which means that a unit is going to be lost and pinned. So this unit will say, at the bottom, will say that he has got the loss and he is pinned. This guy, he is 4. He is just pinned. So second guy is just pinned. And I've lost the first guy already. There he is. So no loss to this guy, but he is also pinned. So both of them pinned. Not so good. Right, this one. We've got to roll on this to see where this shell is actually going to land. So the shell's actually going to land in 4, down. So the shell is actually going to land here and do absolutely nothing, which is excellent. Excellent news. Absolutely nothing. Beautiful. So that's the Germans. We'll say that's them done their artillery. Again, just demonstration purposes and all that jazz. So they can now either move or fire. This guy can obviously move or fire. If the German player decides to use any of these, oh, this guy can also move and fire. Any of these question marks, they will become revealed for the rest of the game. So again, to prove a point and probably end up killing myself off, I will say that the German player is going to reveal and use that machine gun. As I say, I am, pun intended, shooting myself in the foot with this one because it could all go horribly wrong for me. So we'll say that this guy is going to fire on, say, this guy. Right, it's going to fire on, you can only fire one, so we can only fire on one of these two guys. So we'll say top one. And exact same idea as we did to them, where we roll on the fire table. If I can find it again, fire table, where we roll 3 dice this time, because this guy's got 3 in firepower. And of course he gets a 6, damn it. And we have a 2 here for our strength, but the fun doesn't end there, because they get a +1 because we are not in a trench. The target is not in a trench, so they get a +1. Yep, and it's within the 5 hexes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he gets a 9, which is obviously a loss for one of these guys. So we'll say the bottom guy gets a loss. He's hit. So he's had his turn. In fact, I'll use some different coloured markers. So this guy, done. He's had his bit. He's had his fun. Guy that's pinned can also fire. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll say he's going to fire on this guy on the top. So guy that's pinned, 3 dice. Most he gets is a 4. So 4 for this guy. 2 that I have is 2, and the guy is not in a trench, so he gets 7 in total, and 7, as we've seen last time, is a loss. So we're saying that guy gets a loss. So oh wait, there's another if firing unit is pinned, it's a -1. So it was actually only 6 he got there. Ah, nice try, nearly got me. So the full strength guy is pinned, the reduced guy is not. Nice try, mister, you're pinned, so you got a -1. He's done. Right, machine gun. Machine gun has a ridiculously wide arc of fire. It is something like, I'll try and get it roughly right, it is an arc of fire about that wide. So pretty much all of these guys are all within range of that machine gun. The only thing that makes it good for us is that we are further away from it. These guys, not so much. Certainly not this guy. But these guys are further away. But still, machine guns are ridiculously powerful. Which is why, as I say, I've probably made this worse for myself by uncovering it. But, you know, demonstrations and all that jazz. Right, it's the same idea. It has firepower of 3. It has no strength. So if we fire on it, we don't get any additions. So that's a bit crap, but them's the breaks. Right, we're not going to fire on all of these guys because it'll end up wiping the whole thing out. But for demonstrations, we'll go for the first couple of guys here. So we'll say a couple of these guys. Where the machine gun gets a 3 at most. So the most it gets is a 3. Again, we add on the 2 for us, and the fact that we're not in a trench adds another 1 onto it. And I think that is it for modifiers. So this guy, hit. Now, you can't just say, okay, we'll move on to the next one, because the machine gun must hit everything, or you must roll for everything in that hex. So we've got to roll for the other guy as well, whether we like it or not. And this time they get a 4. 4, and then plus 2, and again plus 1 for not being in a trench, so they get 7. And 7 makes it a loss. Now, loss for this guy. I'm not sure that first guy was pinned. I'm not sure, I've lost track now. Right, we'll go for this one. So the most to get is a 3, a 2 for us, 1 for not being in the trench, definitely a 6 this time. So this guy is pinned. So I may have made a mistake with that one, but this guy is definitely pinned. This guy's not pinned yet. So, oh dear, yeah, he's worse than pinned. 6 and 2 for the unit, and 1 for not being in a trench. Hence why you're really kind of meant to stay in the trench, but you can't stay in there forever. So 9, so this guy definitely loses a step, but he's not pinned. These guys, most they get is a 4, 2, and then the 1, so that still gets them 7. So 7, but the difference with this one is this one has got the officer. As soon as a hit goes on the stack with the officer, you roll a dice, and if you get a 6, the officer gets it. Nope, officer doesn't get it. So one of these guys takes a hit. So now for the top guy, most they got was a 3, 2 for us, oops, can't find it, and a 1, so that's a 6. 6 means that top guy is pinned. So this guy is pinned, the other 2 are not. As I say, when it gets to movement, I can move these guys and keep the pinned guy there. And we'll say, oh wait, hang on a minute, because that's 5. That's 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So was that. I just ripped myself off, because when it's 5, you -1. So that guy that was pinned is not pinned. He is not pinned. It's all a lie. It's a lie. He's not pinned. Forgot to add on the +1 for the 5 hexes. Aha. So I've possibly ripped myself off with that one, but yeah, we'll leave it. Last one we'll do is these two. But you get the idea of the machine gun, that's the main thing. 3, 2 for us, 1 for not being in a trench, and 1 for the distance of 5. Sorry, that's not. Start again. 3. They got 3. 2 for the unit. They get 1 for us not being in a trench, but we take away 1 because we are 5 hexes. So they get 5, nothing. Haha. Right. Next one. Oh. So they get 6. And then obviously 2 for us. And 1 for not being in the trench, but more than 5 or 5 or more. -1, 8. So certainly one guy loses, gets reduced. So that's the whole idea of a machine gun. So let's say the German player decided, nope, I'm going to fire on this guy. Well, he would have to reveal one, and the German player can do that anytime he likes, and this guy can now fire on one of these guys. So again, 3 dice, gets a 4, 2 for the unit, and 1 for his not being in trench, so he gets a 7, which means he gets a loss, or we take a loss, like that. And that is now uncovered for the rest of the game. These have all had a turn. So if the German wanted to, the German team could try and unpin this guy, but that guy fired. So no, you can't. You can only unpin in a rally if they didn't fire or move. So that guy stays pinned. Right. We'll say I think that that is it for the German attack. Now, because we still have fighters in the sky, we need to do another sky domination thing. So again, the ace is going to go first, and he's going to get a 5. Damn it! So he is going to shoot down our fighter, and it means that the Germans now have air supremacy. They could, if it was allowed, strafe, but they're not allowed to strafe, so at this point it doesn't really mean much, but it does later on. So that is the end of the air phase, it's called. Nearly done. Well, the second last thing we need to do is the elan phase, it's called. This is where we have to use the cup that I don't have. So what I'm going to do is just shake the markers and pick one completely random with my eyes closed. Honestly. This one. So we get a rallying. It means that our rallying, which we've not used yet, instead of having a +3, our rallying is now +2. So if we rally to get pinned guys back, we have to use +2 rather than +3. Oh, boo. Okay, one more thing. Last thing we do before the end of the turn is that we have a look at the weather effects, wind effects. The wind effect really, it's mostly used for smoke and that kind of thing, smoke and gas attacks. So for the wind, what we do is, I'll just have a wee check. Right, if we roll a 1, then all of the smoke and gas would get removed. We don't have any anyway. And if we roll a 6, then the wind direction will change. So that is a 4. So the wind direction does not change, stays where it is. We don't have any markers to move for gas or anything like that. So that is pretty much it for the end of the turn. So here's how it looks at the end of the first turn. Germans have air supremacy. Boo. The wire here for the whole barricade of the Germans, that's all still in place. We are hoping that we might have a break in it here, but we're really not sure. We're going to have to get guys up there to see if the whole barbed wire thing is actually damaged. They took a fair chunk out of us with their machine guns. They've still got stuff hidden. We're in pretty good shape considering, and we still have we still have 5 artillery. Germans have 6 artillery left. Germans still have 2 grenades as well, and we have a drop in our rallying value which we'll use later. So that's how it looks at the end of turn 1. So far so good. So far so good.